We deal with high net worth individuals. If I call some names, I've been on some of their details, which I would not call their names, but they're heavy weights in the entertainment industry, because they need protection. Because some rabid fan or whatever the case may be. So, and still do it. I get calls sometime, but most of the time I try to stay within the church to make sure that the conference president during the camp meeting is okay. And usually that's all that's enough. Because if you understand anybody that's a criminal, two things that they're afraid of. They're afraid of getting caught, and they're afraid of getting beat up. And that's why I tell folk that you should take a self-defense class. You should take, if I would tell you that the self-defense class that I would recommend that you take, Krav Maga. Krav Maga, Kravmaga, 2 words, Kravmage. That means contact combat, that is, comes out of Israel, and it is dealt with street defense, So if you're being attacked on the street, they tell you how to deal with it, okay? Unfortunately, we live in a terrible world. Even I pray, even go across the street, Lord, protect me. Go to the store across the street, Lord, protect me. But just in case, you want to be able to do enough to get out of some situation. Now, we're going to have fun because it is talk. By the way, do I point this to you or point it to the screen? Or it doesn't matter? Or I can point it up. I can point it right to the left, Get a little Adventist Sabbath Zumba class, So now this presentation was done a while ago, but it's still relevant for today. Because what's happening now, and you'll see this later, what's happening now, New York Post, Washington Post reported, get this now, and you can look it up on Google, the fastest growing ethnic group that's turning vegan and vegetarian, who do you think it is? Anybody want to take a guess? Who? What is it? Holly who? Oh, no. Ethnic group. Asian, Caucasian, anybody else? African? Hispanic? Oh, I can do that. Thank you. According to the Washington Post, the fastest growing ethnic group that's turning vegan vegetarian are African Americans. So this is based on this premise right here. It is a witnessing opportunity because not just African Americans, but a whole lot of folk across ethnic lines are beginning to ditch meat. We as Adventists are going in the opposite direction. The opposite direction. But you know what Jesus said a long time ago? He says the children of the world are what? Wiser than the sons and daughters of God. And you'll find out why that's important, right? All right, let's go. Let's see this thing. All right. So I'm reading, first of all, some of these things from, the Spirit of Prophecy. A couple of quotes here. This is from Healthful Living 79. Let's read, everybody. Tell them that the time will soon come where there will be no safety in using eggs, milk, cream, or butter, because what? Because disease in animals is what? Increasing in what? Proportion to the what? Now, she wrote that in the 19th century. Do you think that's true today? Absolutely. If you paid attention, especially during the lockdown of 2020, if you're reading the newspaper, they had to shut down a couple of slaughterhouses in America because it was high laden with COVID. Where's that COVID coming from? Well, it's coming from animals. And a couple folks said they didn't want to work there because they were catching COVID. Right? By the way, the slaughterhouse is the best kept, and I put best in quotation marks, secret in America. Do you know that the United States USDA, I think they call it, Agricultural Department, has no jurisdiction over the slaughterhouse? They very rarely inspect the slaughterhouse. They're supposed to do it. Right? And I quote one of my great music philosophers, Sir Paul McCartney. You know who he is. Do you know who he is? He says, if slaughterhouses had windows, nobody would eat meat. That's his quote. Because you don't know what they're doing behind there. Now, people who do an investigation, they know, they have these, what do you call these whistleblowers. And they come with the camera and everything, and that stuff that you're eating, like especially like that lunch meat and all that stuff, they cut the cancer out of the cow, but they put it in the pile, and then they grind it up, and you're eating it in Oscar Mayer hot dogs or lunch meat. But they don't want to tell you that because they're trying to make some money, right? Councils on Diets and Food, 388 CDF, from the light that God has given me, the what, everybody? Prevalence, somebody say prevalence, of what? Cancer, what else? Is largely due to what? On dead flesh. She said that in the 19th century. I'm going to show you a book by Dr. Michael Greger. He says the same thing today. Cancers, tumors, and all inflammatory diseases are what? Largely caused by what? That's the 19th century. But scientists have already dealing with this. And they're telling you right in your face that this stuff is happening, and they said, but you're going to eat it anyway. Because have you ever heard of food addiction, Food addiction, you just can't stop eating it, right? You know what? These guys write these love songs because they missed the breakup. Those breakup songs sell. They're addicted. I think Chicago had this song. You know who Chicago is, right? Am I living with people who are living in the real world? You know the band Chicago, right? He had that song, Your Hard Habit to Break. I forgot the name of the song. That's the same thing y'all can sing up. Somebody can sing about meat. It's a hard habit to break, right? So the meat diet is a serious question. Shall human beings live on the flesh of dead animals? The answer from the light that God, who? God has given is what? No, decidedly no. Now, this is the light. Now, this is not salvation by diet. It's about health. And the first thing that God did in the Garden of Eden, he gave them a diet. Right? By the way, that diet that God gave, I don't know if I have it up here, will be repeated in the Garden of Eden. Why do you think that we're going to go back to a plant-based diet in the Garden of Eden? Anybody have any guesses? This is a dialogue, not necessarily a lecture. Say it again, sister. It's not going to be no murder in heaven. You got to kill animals to eat them. That's not going to happen. Right? World Health Organization. Now we Adventists, we got what is called the gift of prophecy. So that's been speaking. World Health Organization classifies processed meat as being cancer-causing. You know, if you wanted to kill somebody and get away with it, mess with their food. Put all the bad food in the neighborhood and let them eat it. And then all of a sudden they go to the hospital and they got cancer and they got all this other stuff going on. Who are you going to charge with murder? Right? They bought it. Right? Neil Bernard, He is a physician's committee. By the way, he has a lot of YouTube videos. He's a board-certified medical doctor, Neil Barnard. He's written a lot of books. You can look him up on Amazon, find him on YouTube. He says, any meat costs what, everybody? Lives. It promotes what? Intolerable what? Suffering and disease, not only among animals, but also for what? Many Americans, by raising their risk of what? What's the first thing? What's the second thing? What's the third thing? And what's the last thing? This is a board-certified physician. This is not one of these quacks. Write his name down, write his thing, Physicians Committee. Look him up on YouTube. You will find a lot of videos. He has an office down in D.C. where he's curing people of type 2 diabetes. I know there's somebody else is coming on for that, but he's curing them. Type 2 diabetes is curable. It's a change. You just have to change your lifestyle, right? So write him down, look him up, and I want you to do the research. I invite you to do the research. Don't just listen to me. Same thing when I'm preaching up there. I said, do the research. Go look it up in the Bible. Amen? Okay, here's some more dangers. Higher risk of stroke, increased risk of death. I mean, somebody said, well, I'm going to die anyway. Why die all sick and miserable? Try to live as long as you can, as healthy as you can. With your brain, where you don't have to say, your wife comes in and says, who are you, dear? You don't want that. You know what I mean? You want your brain intact. Lung disease, isn't that interesting? Heart disease, we said that. Colorectal cancer. Why do you think meat promotes that? Colon cancer. Why do you think it promotes that? Yes, ma'am. Did you hear what our sister said? She says it stays in your colon. It takes approximately 3 days to get your digestive system to break that stuff down. And you're talking about an animal that has died traumatically. They know they're going to die in inhumane conditions. They say the suicide rate is very high for those who are in the industry in the slaughterhouse. So much blood. They know they're going to die. And it stays 3 days in your system. This is why, I know I'm in the church, so I got to be very careful. Three days. If you're not eating fiber, what do you think you're filled with? Someone, they didn't get that. If you are filled and you can't pass you're supposed to at least pass your stool. You know how many times? By the way, I must say this. If this is online, this is for public educational services only. I am not a physician. If you need some help, please go see your doctor. This has been a broadcast by brought to you by the Baltimore White Marsh Seventh-day Adventist Church and Dr. Kevin Jenkins. We're not liable for anything. This is done for informational purposes only. Thank you very much. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Now, anyway. Now check this out. You see down below, increased of what? Down below. You see the last one? Prostate cancer. Men. Let me give a commercial to men. Number one, get your annual physical. I got no amen out of any of these men. Get your prostate checked. What? And if it's healthy, he doesn't have to do the digital part. If he goes through the blood, your stuff should be low, 0.9 or whatever it is. But even if he does the digital, if you're healthy, it doesn't take long. Don't be waiting until something goes wrong, and then you're in bad trouble. You're in bad shape. Right? Something else happens with when you eat a meat-laden diet. Let's read that. What does it say, everybody? We can stop global warming. Just one simple tool. If everyone switched to a vegan diet, vegan vegetarian diet, we would immediately cut greenhouse gases in half. Do you know what a greenhouse gas is? All that stuff that, did it get, help me if I'm, the cows, what do they call that? Flagellation? All that gas that they, methane gas and other stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is why this system is going all crazy because of that. And the slaughterhouses bring all that pollution because they're draining that water of that blood all into the neighborhood and all that stuff. You know. And I'm not trying to be gross. I'm just trying to tell you the facts. Right? Just give you the facts, right? We'll take questions later. I don't have all the answers here. Then beef causes, World Resources Institute says this, beef causes a huge environmental footprint. If cattle were on the left side, if cattle were on their own nation, they would be the world's third largest GHG, global greenhouse emission emitter. Beef loses 33% of all, uses 33% of all water for farm animal productions. Wow, right? 25% of the Earth's land area is pasture land because they got to clear the forest for those animals to eat, right? 95% beef demand projected to grow by 95% in the year 2050. So it affects not only the personal diet, it affects the environment. And when you reduce your animal intake or even eliminate it altogether, you're helping the environment. Y'all got that? All right. The Guardian says this, United Nations urges global move to meat and dairy-free diet. Lesser consumption of animal products is necessary to save the world from the worst impacts of climate change, UN report. You can look that up on Google. They have made a whole report on this issue of trying to cut down on eating animal products, right? All right. You see a dragon. The five-headed dragon of chronic, what did I say, everybody? Five-headed dragon of what? Chronic disease, accounting for what? 75% of our health care costs. Here's the five-headed dragon of chronic disease. What's the first one? Heart disease. Second one. Third one. Fourth one. And if you stop eating meat altogether and dairy and all that business, you can eliminate almost virtually all this stuff. Virtually. Now we're not living in a perfect world. It's not a cure for, until the Lord comes. You know what I mean? But you can start even right there and there, right then and there, to eliminate that stuff. But it's going to take discipline. Right? And like I said, the world is going in the direction what God has given us, and we're going in the opposite direction. There used to be a time, now I don't know what's happening here at your church, but there used to be a time where you could not bring meat in the church. Right? Y'all remember those days? Oh, Lord. No, my goodness. Now you're going to need security. You tell me not to bring my meat in the church. You know what I mean? It's clean. It's clean meats. All right? It takes how many gallons of water to produce 1 pound of beef, everybody? 1,800. Say 1,800. This is equal to 10 years of the recommended water consumption for the average person. The reason why they don't want you to stop doing that is because it's making money. This is a multi-million-dollar business. Right? They don't care who dies. Because what happens is, can you imagine if you invested stock in slaughterhouses and then you invested stock in cancer prevention? You're going to make some money. Because they claim they don't have a cure yet. I don't think they want to have a cure. Because you're going to kill the industry. Can you imagine? Now, Jesus lives in us today. Amen? Hallelujah. Imagine Jesus, our Lord and Savior, walked on this planet and he started healing folk. Man, it ain't going to be like the cops going after him. It's going to be the medical field. You're killing business. Can you imagine if the Lord gave you the full power of healing and you walked in a hospital and emptied every bed out? Man, now it'll be a great news story for the first time. But then you go to another hospital. They would take you out because you messing with money. And they start laying off doctors and nurses and everything. They don't need them, right? All right. Something's happening here. It's not, I don't know. I'm doing the right thing now. Maybe may have to push it. Yeah, I'm doing it. It's been working. Is it freezing on me? Yeah, do what? All right, very good. Boy, the enemy's trying to mess this up. We rebuke him in the name of... So you go vegan for who first? Start with the left. Go vegan for the... And then go down for the what? And then go down. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter where you start. When I became vegetarian, I did it for my health. You know, and you know the interesting thing, let me tell you my conversion story. This is what led me to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Because I didn't know any Christian churches talking about diet. And being a vegetarian? Wow, that's cool. How old when I first came into church? Well, I turned vegetarian when I was 19. When I was 19 years old. And I joined the church 2 years later. Got baptized like 21. Yeah. So, and here's the funny, not the funny thing, but I didn't grow up in the church, so I did a lot of bad stuff in my body. And so I was working with a guy who asked me, he said, guess how old I am? And I'm like, okay, you look like 25. He says, I'm 40-something. I said, what you doing, dude? He says, I'm vegetarian. I said, what's that? He said, I don't eat no meat. So I'm working in the library. I said, well, let me look it up, do the research. You know what I mean? Because I need to change my diet because I'm, doing the party thing. You know what I'm saying? And I changed my diet, and I went cold turkey. Haven't looked back. Haven't looked back. All right, so you go for the animal. Okay, now here's the argument that people say about not eating meat, especially if you want to build your body or eating meat. Where do I get my protein? And usually the people that they're asking this, they ain't going to the gym. So what do you mean you need protein for? They ain't going to the gym. You ain't doing no push-ups, trying to get the, muscle mass. But do you really need meat to get protein? No. Because beef has 6.4 grams of protein per 100 calories, and broccoli has what? Broccoli has protein, one of the highest sources of protein. Plants have all the protein you need with none of the violence. And there are vegan bodybuilders who got the same muscle that, I don't know, who's a big bodybuilder now? Yeah, all those guys, yeah. Yeah. Because all you do is that, you know about building muscle, is that you lift weights to strain your muscle, and then you got to back it up with eating. And eating a lot of protein, 1 per gram your body weight. That's what you need to do. So you can do this without eating any meat, right? And then here's some of the top non-animal protein sources. Tempeh. What's the next one? Seitan. Soybeans. There's a rumor out that if you eat too many soybeans, man, you end up getting boobs. That's a lie. That's a lie, okay? Yeah, that's a lie. Lentils, black beans, kidney beans, right? Hey, back in the day when mama didn't have enough to get the meat, she'd make you some beans, rice, and some cornbread. And you think you were not eating good because you ain't had that meat. Yes, you were. Then the veggie burger, and I recommend that you try to keep down processed food, make it yourself, right? Chickpeas, you take a can, here, you can make a high protein smoothie. Take a can of chickpeas, put it in a strainer, rinse it off so you get that sodium off of it, put it in your blender, put in some dates, put in some vanilla extract, 2 cups of plant milk, right? And you got yourself almost like 60 grams of protein drinking that smoothie. And it tastes like a cheesecake too, right? Baked beans, tofu, and that's another lie. If I eat a lot of tofu, I'm going to get men boobs. The Japanese have been eating tofu for years. Have you seen those guys with boobs? No. Not until they come over in America and they eat McDonald's and Burger King and everything else, right? Quinoa and peanut butter. So you can get your protein off this, right? Then there's iron. Iron. Look at all the on it. Spinach. I'm just pointing this out, but there are other stuff. Spinach. Why do you think Popeye was able to beat up Brutus? Popeye was the original vegetarian vegan. You never seen him eat meat. They fighting over olive oil. Right? Yeah, the spinach. But you could do that, right? And by the way, men, I know I got to do PG over here. Praise God, right? That's what PG stands for, praise God. The code word is nitric oxide. Write it down, keep it in your memory. Spinach has high levels of nitric oxide. Pull me over to the side after service. I'll tell you what the deal is, okay? Kale, nitric oxide, right? So you see all this, right? Yeah. Pumpkin seeds, very good. You don't need what, everybody? You don't need what? Dairy to get what? Sure enough, don't. Because here's a lot of stuff you can do. Eat plenty of it. I'm sorry? Yes, it is. But, when we had a men's meeting. Y'all funny. Okay. Yeah, it's good for everybody, but But let me talk to the brothers. Okay. You know, it's funny. You know, at my church, they're going to have next week, Lord willing, that they're having what is called a chat and chew for the women's ministry, right? Chat and chew, you know, the fellowship thing. And when the guy says, the men ain't invited, I said, no, they're not. Every time some groups get together, they want to be in on the conversation, right? So you got that, the calcium, you know. Of course, it's nothing wrong with supplementing too, you know. Get yourself, there's a vitamin that is very good and just can't come to my memory. I'll find out. I'll look it up. It's very good to supplement. Then milk does not have to do what, everybody? You know, a lot of folk are drinking milk and their bones really get brittle instead of getting stronger. We are the only mammal, animal, whatever you want to call this, who drinks. Wait a minute, let's do a quiz. Dogs drink whose milk? Dog's milk, right? Cat drinks, right? Cow drinks. Human beings drink. Everybody else's milk. Everybody else's. And you know, the cow's milk is not made for humans. It's made for a calf. Right? And then you wean your children off of your milk, you know, certain age. But plants, that's what God gave us to get that stuff from, right? Hurry on. No cows were harmed in making this cheese. Now, some of it you can make on your own if you're a cheese person. You know what I mean? Processed food, just do it in moderation if you can, right? We're going to take questions after. All right. You can remember your question? Sure you can. Yeah. Moderation. But I would tell you, some of the vegan cheeses have gotten better. They've gotten really good. You see on the corner, Miyoko? Get that? Put that on some crackers. Very good. Oh, you had that? I never heard that either. I don't know. And some of it melts very well, too. So you can make macaroni and cheese. You know what I mean? It melts very well, right? Okay. Then vitamin B12. Now, 3 ways you can do that. You can take a supplement. You can do some things that's fortified, like milks. If you look at your milk, it says it's fortified in that. You can do that. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure that you supplement that. You know, but they got so many food that's fortified with already, you're not going to miss it. If you got a good doctor, they do the blood work, and they're looking for vitamin B12 and vitamin D. You know, that was interesting about people with coronavirus. They noticed that those people who were dying, they had low levels of vitamin D. Did you know that? So I'm going to find that vitamin because I take that because it's a raw vitamin. And I see it, I can't remember its name, but I'm going to find it. I'm going to go on Amazon and find the name of the brand because I think it's the best vitamin product out because it made some real food and you just grind it down a bit. But keep that up, right? Blue-green algae, stuff like that. Let's move on. I scream, you scream, we all scream for what, everybody? But I would tell you to make it on your own. Get a food processor, get some frozen bananas, right? Some frozen mangoes. Put some plant milk in there, sweeten it with agave, and then you got some ice cream. And it's easy, you're saving money, right? And then this is nutrition supplement. Okay, what are the 5 possible side effects of a vegan diet? Let's read, everybody. Come on. All right, stop. Y'all going too fast. Let's start again. Weight loss. more food, less hunger, fewer wars over resources, more wildlife. And read the last one. May also cause feelings of what? Euphoria for knowing that you're improving your health and the health of the planet. Look at that list and tell me which one that you want the most. This is a thoughtful question. You want all of them? You want all of them? Absolutely. Is there anyone on that list that you don't want any one of those things? Absolutely, you want all of them. I don't see the risk in this. Right? You know, animals, we said that. Rainforest, we did that. There you go. There's a man. He's a man. Look at him. He got all the muscles and everything. Popeye. You know, listen, I grew up in the age when there was commercials and stuff. I mean, cartoons. You remember that? Clean cartoons. Y'all remember Popeye? Let me tell you. I know, right? They co-opted this vegan diet. I'm going to tell you this when I saw that, to this day, I still get sad. I may need to go to therapy for this. I'm just kidding about it. It's the day that Brutus got really smart. And he bought all the spinach in the world. All of it. He went around the world and he owned all the spinach. He said, this is the way I'm going to beat this man. And man, he gave Popeye such a beating. He couldn't defend olive oil, nothing. But guess what happened? One of those beatings he got, he landed on the sidewalk. And in the crack of the sidewalk, there was some spinach growing. And all he had to do was to suck up that spinach with his pipe, and it was over. All right, so let's talk about some, since this is Vegan in the Hood, some prominent black vegans. Y'all know who this guy is? Y'all in the hip-hop game? Wu-Tang Clan, RZA. RZA is a vegan, right? There's Kimberly Elise, and she's Christian. She's loud and Christian and vegan, right? Yeah. You know who Russell Simmons is? Remember him back in the day? Man, I forgot this brother. He's a football player, and I just forgot his name. Call him Broccoli Man, yeah. You know who this is? Coretta Scott King. She turned vegan. Yes. You know who she is? Angela Dehm, still vegan. Right? This guy is a weightlifter, which I forgot his name, in the Olympics. You see, he ain't got no problem gaining muscle. I can't remember this fella's name. Who's that guy? Cory Booker. He's still vegan. Yeah. Who's that guy? So, yeah. And that was just a couple of years ago. Right? And I by the way, and I know her. Tracy McQuarter. She's written this book, By Any Greens Necessary. And she got her mother. Her mother was suffering from chronic disease. She got her on there. Mother looks magnificent. Her mother's got to be like 80 plus. I don't have a picture of her mother. But she got her mother on the vegan diet. Reversed a lot of stuff she was dealing with, and she's wonderful. This is my mentor, Victoria Moran, Main Street Vegan. She's very good with this. You can find all these books on Amazon, right? Happy Vegan, Russell Simmons, Now here's a book that you need to get. How Not to Die. Michael Greger is also on YouTube. Scientifically, this guy has gone through the 15 leading causes of death in America. You look him up, he has his own site where he does video, and sometimes it's a little top-heavy because it's deal with medical terms and stuff like that. But New York Times bestseller, 15 leading causes of death in America. He says all of them can be reversed by going on a whole food plant-based diet. All of them. Michael Greger, right? Go on. Here's a documentary, Forks Over Knives. You saw that, right? That was good, right? And he did the same thing. He had folk on this diet, and they reversed diabetes and some other stuff. I know I'm overlapping because somebody's going to make a presentation on that, right? Okay, I used to do that, but you can take this site down. It's still up. I used to have an interview program with people with vegan lifestyle. I looked up Blog Talk Radio, and I realized some of the stuff is still on there. I'm not on there anymore. I'll probably start a podcast doing something else. And then here is, I think this is the last one. This is an app called Happy Cow. Why do you think the cow is happy? He's not being eaten for dinner. But this is an app. I'm going to tell you how good this app is. It will tell you around the world, what did I say? Where you can find a vegetarian or a vegan restaurant. I was in Barcelona, Spain before the pandemic. That was 2018. Took out my phone. Where is a vegan restaurant on the street that I was on? They pointed me to one. I went there. All around the world, 9 states, you got it. Happy Cow. All right, I think that's it, right? This is the last one, I think. Right? Yeah. So this young lady over there in the corner, she had a question. Yes. And if it's, oh, yeah, you got to pass the mic. Yes, the mic person. Now, when you get the mic, you go, oh, man.
All right, thank you. The plant-based, or any of the plants that, or let's say if we're going to plant-based diet, and I do a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
But one thing I'd like to find out, do they always have to be organic? That's my one question.
Yeah.
And the other question I have is with the milk, almond milk and all of that. What's the best format to get it? Those in the box on the shelves? Or in the box, or plastic bottle in the refrigerator?
Two great questions. Thank you so much. Again, we just want to reiterate that this is for educational purposes only, and if you have something going on with your body, please see your doctor. The best thing that I often do is I try to get organic, because it's not sprayed with all that pesticide there. However, if you can't do that, here's what you should do. Look up on Google The Dirty Dozen, not the movie. The Dirty Dozen, and you probably put fruits after that, so make sure it's to you the right way. I forgot what industry does that, but they will tell you the most pesticide-laden fruit and vegetables that's being sprayed every year. They come out with a list every year, and then they give you a list at the same time, the least sprayed. Here's what I've learned. Like, for example, strawberries are on that Dirty Dozen, if they're not organic. So what you do, you take your strawberries, put them in your sink, kitchen sink, put some baking soda in there. I forgot how many tablespoons. You could find that out on YouTube. Anything you need to know these days, go to YouTube University. I'm serious about it. I mean, and common sense will tell you what to do if it's false, anything like that. And then you keep it soaked for a while, and it gets all the pesticides out of there. And then rinse it, and you're ready. The best almond milk, in my opinion, make it your own. Make your own. Get the almonds, soak them, and juice them. Get a nice juicer. There's a Nama J2. I am not being paid by them, but it's the best juicer that I have gotten. Nama, N-A-M-A, J2. And you can actually make some milk out of that. However, my thing is, read the labels. If it's something that you don't understand and you need a degree in chemistry, stay away from it.
Okay, my question is, what do you What's your answer to those that say, hey, I don't eat beef, but I eat fish and chicken and all that. So what do you answer to? What's your
Here's
answer
my
to
answer. Knowledge is power. There is a documentary, and these are on Netflix, Seaspiracy, S-E-A, Seaspiracy, about what's happening with the fish. Oh. Here's the one I hear all the time. Well, Jesus ate fish. And here's my answer. He ain't eating now. Because he's in heaven right now, right? There's no killing, right? But it was a lot clean. The oceans were a lot cleaner back in that day, in his day. All the pollution, they dumping toxic stuff and toxic that in there, you know what I mean? And you're just taking all that in you. So it's best right now with the extreme conditions that we are under emergency conditions. We're in a state of emergency. And this is, I believe, one of my founders, Ellen White, talked about this issue, that when it gets time closer to the second come Christ, you got to eliminate animal products because we're on extreme. Now, she might not have seen what we're experiencing now. The environment is just messed up. You understand? So that's what I would say.
I wanted to ask the question about, you were saying about making almond milk. I've also read about the skin on the almonds are not good for you. Okay.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think the thing is that you trust your gut. Trust the leading of the Holy Spirit. You think the Holy Spirit is just only for church? The Holy Spirit is for life. So when I'm making something in the kitchen, Holy Spirit, give me directions. I may have a recipe on there, but help me to do this. I invite the Spirit of God to help me to do the common things of life, not just the church things. And that's what we need to get. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to say something to the young lady right here. I make my own almond milk, and you can blanch your almonds, boil them real quick, put them in cold water. The skin will come off. But I'm not fancy like you, Pastor. I don't have no juice, so we use that good old blender.
There you go.
We put it in the blender with the water, blend it real good, and then I use like cheesecloth and squeeze it and strain it out.
Come on now.
So, but like my kids love it. It's much better than trying to get milk, but
and it's cheaper.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's cheaper.
But I have been watching all kind of articles where videos and stuff where they are starting to make chicken and fish in containers.
Lord Jesus.
They actually approved for the chicken to start being sold in restaurants.
Lord have mercy.
Made in a big old silver tin chicken, and it looks like chicken. It looks like it. That scared me to death. I said, I'm not making any of this anymore. I am not buying it. I have a whole bunch of lentils and beans in my cabinet. We're going to work something out and make our own food because it's getting really, really
Sister, you
crazy.
said a mouthful right there.
Crazy.
Now, I'm going to tell you how you can make. You ever made fried or baked cauliflower? Let me give you a quiz. What makes chicken or any other meat taste good? You said sauce. Someone said sauce. What else? Seasoning. Where does seasoning come from? Herbs. Where do herbs come from? Plants. We're not natural meat eaters. Tell me if I'm wrong. How many of you have ever heard of National Geographic? You've seen those documentaries, right? And you get excited when those gazelles are by themselves on the water, and that lion is like pouncing. And you saying to yourself, I wish those gazelles would get out of there. And he isolates one and just goes after that gazelle. He said, oh, I hope they don't catch. The lion doesn't catch. But he does catch. Right? And he takes the gazelle and he starts tearing into that. Do you think this lion says, wait a minute, the 4th of July is coming. I need to take it to my boys and bake it, broil it, grill it, barbecue it, jerk it before we can eat it. No. He's a natural meat eater. So he's going to eat that gazelle right then and there and tear it up. Now, the Bible does say that one day the lion's going to lie down with the lamb. Yeah. But I mean, they're not going to be killing each other. Yeah. So the Lord's going to reverse all that. So there's not going to be any eating meat, because that's the sign of sin. It's a sign of sin. Yeah. Anybody else have a question or anything? Okay. So I'm saying this to you, that you have to make a decision on how you want to live your life. Right? You want to age gracefully. I told my kids already, I said, by the grace of God, I don't want you taking care of me. No, seriously. Because that's a burden on your kids. And they already bragging about their dad. You know, I got two girls, one's in the early 40s, one is mid 30s. And when they're friends, my girls are married, got good son-in-laws. But when they're friends, they wish me happy birthday. Their friends are trying to hit on me on Facebook. Would you cut it out? That's my dad. You follow what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, we need to get back to what God has given to us. Amen? Because then folk will ask us, well, what are you doing? What's happening here? Because we listen, I already hate going to the dentist. I mean, I go to the doctor on the regular, and I go to the dentist. I wish God would heal all what's going on with me right here. You know what I mean? But I one day I said, Lord, you know what? It could be worse. I could be going to the doctor a lot. I could be going to the hospital a lot. I could be getting surgeries a lot. You know what I mean? So, not everything is perfect, but by the grace of God, God will give us strength to do His will and His blessings. All right? Well, thank you very much. We started a little late, but, I hope you stay for the next presentation. Yep. All right. Well, let's pray, shall we? Father, you have given us a unique message for the end times. You have not given us the gospel of Jesus Christ, but you've also given us the health message. Help us to return back to Eden. We already have gotten publicity by having the only blue zone in America that's in Loma Linda. So help us to create our own blue zone. We don't have to live in Loma Linda to do that. We can live in our homes to do that. So glorify your name and give us strength, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
The gentleman that was promoting health ministry said that we're all in the blue zone. All of the Adventists in North America, Canada, and the USA are blue zones because of our lifestyle. It's not just, their concentration is in Loma Linda, but he said we're all in the new.
I would say that is right partially. However, Adventists are living longer than anybody especially the United States, just do with the United States here. But they're living with disease. You understand? The blue zone are people who are living long, but they are also disease-free. And that's because they've gone plant-based largely, whole food plant-based. So
there's a documentary right now on Netflix, I think, talking about.
Yeah, it's called Live to 100. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mentioned that this morning.
Okay.
Yeah, Live to 100, the Blue Zone, Dan Buettner. And it's a great portrayal. I'm glad you mentioned that, by the way. That's another documentary you need to watch called Live to 100, the Blue Zones. And it's a 4-part series. Part 2 deals with the Adventist phenomenon. Very good. Very good. This guy named Dr. Warham, he just died maybe 3 years ago. He died at the ripe old age of 104. He was a vegan for over 50 years of his life. He was a cardiologist. He retired at age 95. The only reason why he retired, he says, I want to give the young boys a chance. That's him, Elmsworth Warham. But you see him, and you can look him up. He was still driving his car, still cutting the lawn, happily married. Cognitive functioning was good because of what he's been doing, the health, you know. Yes, so in a sense we are, but in a sense we're not. Because only 35% of Adventists in Canada, the Adventist health study dealt with Canada and the United States. Only 35% are vegetarian or vegan.
Is that lower than what it was in the past?
Yeah, it's lower. Yeah. Elmsworth Warham. Like his name, Warren Ham. Yeah, you find him. Yeah, they've interviewed him. And there's another guy named John something. I forgot his last. He's still alive. He's approaching 100. And he's still active. He's an Adventist brother. He's still active in the medical field. He's still doing practice. And everybody goes to him. They can see he's doing this thing. You know, no slip-ups, no mistakes, anything like that. So I'm just saying we want to live well and healthy. I don't if the Lord doesn't come, I don't want to be struggling with anything. You know what I mean? I still lift weights and stuff. You know? I still do a lot of, you see me on Facebook. You can follow me, Kevin Jenkins, on Facebook. How many on Instagram? Anybody on Instagram? Just one person? Y'all need to get on Instagram. Who's two? The Vegan Born, like BOURNE. Like Jason Bourne, The Vegan Born. You can follow me. That's my site. Yeah. So you can find out what I'm making, my exercising. Again, The Vegan Born. Born is spelled BOURNE, like Jason Bourne.
What's wrong with Facebook?
Hmm?
You're on Facebook. What's wrong with Facebook?
Facebook is Kevin Jenkins, but there's a lot of Kevin Jenkins. But but I'm wearing this black suit in my profile, so you know who I am. I change it every month. So this month I have the black suit on, you know. So you can follow me on there. Kevin Jenkins. Kevin Jenkins, yeah. All right. All right, blessings, everybody.
All right, okay, thank you. Round of applause for Dr. Kevin Jenkins. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. On behalf of the pastors, the church members, and our health ministry team, we just want to say thank you again for accepting the call to serve today. We were truly, truly blessed by your sermon this morning and your afternoon presentation. We hope that you will come again sometime in the near future, and may God travel with you as you go back to New York. Great presentation. Thank you. Our next presentation will be on diabetes, and our own Dr. Celia is going to do that. We are just on time, so we have 5 minutes. If you want to take a bio break or something, you can do that, but we will start promptly at 4 o'clock. Dr. Celia, where are you? Oh, you're there. The what? Okay. Oh, Garden of Life.
Y'all heard of them? Yeah. They're the best. Vitamin D. They're made from whole food, plant-based substance. So it's Garden of Life. All right?
We're familiar with that.
You're familiar? Okay.
All right. Yeah, I use it.
Okay. So I'm going to be holding this.
You want the, if you want to go up there, then. You need any help from me? Probably. Okay. So I'm going to be in the booth. Just. But yes, I have to drop it off. Okay. So you help,
Did you get one? No. I got one. We didn't, because we were trying to get everything.
Yeah. I think the day went on, but those AV people were just giving me a hard time.
I don't, you see, the way I plan things, I don't like. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. I know the day has been fast spent, so I'm not going to hold you. So we're going to make this as interactive as possible because I have some information that I will give away. So I pray that you listen. And when I ask a question, which I will be asking in between, if you get it, you get a gift. So how many of you have heard about diabetes? How many know someone who has it? How many know that whether they have it or not have it? Okay. So why do we make so much noise about diabetes? If you have heard about it, why do you think we make so much? Who has the mic? Someone has it. Okay. Okay. Yes. She's coming. Okay. Why do you think we make so much noise about diabetes? Why do we talk about diabetes?
Because it is a silent killer.
Yes. Thank you very much. It's a silent killer. Why do you think, what makes you think, anyone else, what makes you think it's a silent killer? Yes. Thank you very much. Do you hear what she said? It's not very easy to manage and the symptoms can be devastating. Something like that. Yes, I agree with that. So, look at what is on the board. Diabetes is a chronic disease. It's a chronic health condition. Not only is it a chronic health condition, it tries to connect all the other bad diseases, including those that Pastor Jenkins just talked about. So when you look at it, the literature shows us that it is the number 8 leading cause of death in the United States. Number 8. And in the United States alone, more than 37 million people, adults, U.S. adults, 37 million U.S. adults have diabetes. And 1 out of 5 of them don't even know they have it. Can you imagine a devastating disease? You or I may have it and we don't even know. Maybe because we are not seeing any symptoms, or we have symptoms and we don't know what they mean. And it has no cure, but the effects can be reversed. If this diabetes, I know it's not just one kind, but most of the time, It comes because of lifestyle issues and other issues which can be reversed. If you improve on those, it might help you to manage that disease and live with it, live well with it. And those things that can help include maintaining a healthy weight, eating healthy diet, and you know that Pastor Jenkins just talked about it, and being active. Sometimes when we talk about being active, people's minds go to, oh, running, I can't run. You can walk. Anything that you can do to keep moving so that your blood will be circulating is exercise. It doesn't have to be very strenuous. If you can do it, very strenuous exercise, that's fine. But as you get older, just lifting your hands and lifting your feet might be good exercise, making sure you get enough, at least 30 minutes a day. That will help. So when we talk about disease, in fact, it is increasing. It's not even getting any better. No matter how much money has been pushed into the system to take care of it, it keeps increasing. In the last 20 years, the number of adults diagnosed with this disease have increased more than, more than doubled. So what is this diabetes we are talking about? See, our body, God made our body in a way that there are things we need to sustain the body. And when something goes wrong with them, an issue occurs. Diabetes is one of those. It can occur when our body, our blood sugar is way too high, off normal range. And there is a hormone in the body that is secreted by the pancreas. And that hormone is insulin. It is what God put in our bodies to regulate the absorption of and utilization of sugar by our cells, the cells in our body. We need sugar for energy. We need it to do our activities, to live our daily lives. But God knows that we need it, so he put insulin there in the pancreas so that when that insulin is produced, it will help your body to absorb the sugar in order to utilize it for energy. When something goes wrong with that, then diabetes, the blood will keep circulating because it's not really utilized in the cells. So you have a large amount of sugar or glucose, sugar and glucose sitting in your body, not being utilized. And then, of course, they are not supposed to be there that way. Then when your body will be forced to remove them, and that is when the symptoms will happen to make you suspect that something is wrong. So there are different types of diabetes. The most common one is the one now that is a big menace, not just in the United States, but in the whole world, and that is type 2. There is the one that is type 1. Type 1 is also known as insulin-dependent diabetes. The reason is because since God made our body's pancreas to produce insulin, some people have no insulin, and some people, for some reason, their pancreas are not able to produce that insulin. So for life, they will be dependent on insulin, artificial insulin, in order to help them process what you and I expect to process, the sugar in our body every day. That is usually common in children, but it can also be diagnosed in young adults. People with that kind of diabetes have to take insulin for the rest of their lives. There is no cure for that one. But the type 2 is the one that is most common now, which our diet affects terribly. It can occur at any age, especially if you have risk factors. If you are overweight, if you have a family history. So those are the things that might, make it happen to you. The pancreas may be making insulin, but it's not enough. Or the quality of the insulin is not enough to handle the blood glucose level in your body to bring it down to normal range. So that kind of diabetes is diabetes type 2. And this is the one that is that we always hear about in the news and in most of the trainings we receive, and most of the information we read, diabetes type 2. So there is another one that is gestational diabetes. Sometimes when, people can have insulin resistance, which I will talk about next. When a woman is pregnant, towards the end of that late stage of the pregnancy, they can become insulin resistant. But that makes their blood sugar to rise. And when the test is done, they will be diagnosed with gestational diabetes. That kind of diabetes only occurs during pregnancy. And it can affect the child. Sometimes some women may not know, and then when they have a child, they have a baby that is up to 9 pounds or over 9 pounds. That is one of the things that you will suspect first when you have a newborn infant that is that weight. Okay, there are other two key players in diabetes type 2. Yes. The first one is insulin resistance. I already mentioned about that. The cause of this insulin resistance is not known. Nobody knows what causes it. And, but it can occur when the body does not use insulin very well for some reason. Or when the cells of the muscles of your body or the fat and the liver do not respond well to insulin and cannot easily take up glucose to put them in the cells to process them to become energy. So when you have excess of it in the system, it starts floating around, causing your blood sugar level to be high. So the other one is pre-diabetes, and that one occurs when blood sugar levels are high, but not high enough for the range at which a person can be diagnosed as diabetic. It's a little lower than that range where they will reach to be diagnosed, but it's higher than normal level. So that is pre-diabetes. If you have ever gone to your provider, whether your provider is a doctor, physician, or a nurse practitioner, and they tell you you have pre-diabetes, it's a big warning. That warning is you have to change your lifestyle. You have to get more active so that you can watch your sugar and make sure you don't develop diabetes, the full-blown diabetes type 2. Because that is the one that actually causes all the suffering in people who are diagnosed with diabetes. So who is at risk? Do you know if you are at risk for diabetes? Have you ever taken a test? Are there opportunities for you to do a self-check? Yes, there are. I will show you. Now, every information that you might need on diabetes or any kind of disease, if you want to get the real information that is not adulterated, that is scientifically proven by research, you go to National Institute of Health website. Yep. When you go to National Institute of Health website, any disease that has ever been seen, identified, diagnosed is there. If you go to the different sections, there's a tab you will go to, and you will see all the different departments. National Institute of Diabetes, digestive issues, and kidney disease, you will see all about diabetes. Another area you can go to is CDC, Centers for Disease Control. If you go there, you will find accurate, reliable information. Sometimes Google University does not get it right all the time. That is where everybody goes first. And I have the diabetes risk if you need it. I have a lot of literature here that you can pick up if you need some. This is the risk, and I will show you, if you go to those websites, you will get a link where you can do a live one and just know the result right there. And sometimes if there is a program around your area, you might be able to get more information about that. Okay, now let me take a little pause. Does anybody have any questions so far? Because I said it's going to be interactive. Any questions? Yes. Okay.
Silent killer means. What does it mean for diabetes to be a silent killer?
Okay. What it means is that, just as I said before, you may have it and not know that you have it, but it is still in you and it's affecting your organs. Mm-hmm. Diabetes is one disease that is linked to almost every kind of disease in the body. It is linked to heart disease and stroke. It is linked to cancer. It is linked to nerve damage. So many of them. As we go down, you will see a lot of them. Diabetes is one disease that can affect those areas. It might be in, sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night, or you wake up and you go to the bathroom over and over and over, and you're wondering, what did I eat? Mm-hmm. Or you're very thirsty, always drinking and always going to the bathroom, and you're wondering. All of those things are signs that might suggest to you that something is not right. Mm-hmm. But you don't stop there. If you stop there with diabetes, and maybe you stop drinking or do something that will make it not happen as frequently as before, you might think you are okay, but something is going on there, so you have to check it up. But when you fail to check it out with your provider, it might develop into other things, and then when you get symptoms from all those other chronic diseases, then that is when you find out. So eventually, it's a silent killer because it can harm you before you even get to know you have it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. How many adults did I say have diabetes in the United States? It's in millions. Does anybody have any figure? Take a guess. 2 less or 2 more?
I think you said 7 million, I think.
A little bit higher. Anyone? I would take 2 guesses.
79 million.
A little lower. 37 million. Okay, for those who tried, I have a present for you. For those who tried, which one do you want? What is on your plate? Get fit for life. See what they like. What is on your plate? And this is caregiver. Oh, sorry. And I have information on diabetes, insulin, your glucometer, and your diabetes medications. If you need them, they are here. Okay, so that is my first question. So, one more question before we move on. Or 2 more questions. I said that diabetes is number what? Killer. Who said 8? Okay, so I have a present for, you can give him there or just take one from here. Number 8, killer in the United States. Last one before we continue. What is the name of the hormone that helps us regulate blood sugar? Insulin, yes. I have Spanish too, one of them, that is in Spanish. Okay, yeah. Brother Errol got it. All right, thank you. That means you're listening, I like that. Okay, let's move on. All right, so I thought, I think I jumped a little bit. These are the symptoms of diabetes, like I said before: increased thirst, increased hunger, fatigue, blurred vision, increased, I put that twice. Okay, someone can experience numbness or tingling on the feet or hands. There can be sores that don't heal. If you did not realize you have it, and it gets to the point where it's affecting these organs, then you find out when the symptoms of those other illnesses start happening. Like some people tell you, I can't feel anything in my hands. Or, they can put their feet in shoes and they are standing on a piece of rock in their shoes and they don't feel it. That is because the nerve damage has occurred due to diabetes. Unexplained weight loss. For people who have type 1 diabetes, they might even get to the point where their blood sugar drops so low that they can get into a coma. Especially if, because most of the time, the people that are diagnosed with type 1 can be children. If they don't manage it very well, they don't understand it, they don't eat enough food to counteract the effects of the insulin, to match the effects of insulin they are getting. Their sugar may drop, and then you see them, they are sweating profusely, and some of them are jittery, and some are, like they're going to faint. Which one do you need? Okay. Just take one. Yeah, we have more questions coming. Okay, so that's one thing to watch out for. Type 1 diabetes symptoms can start quickly in a matter of weeks. But for type 2, remember that it's related to lifestyle as well. Type 2, which is the most common one, symptoms develop slowly over the course of several years and can be so mild that you might not even notice it. And that is where the silent killer comes, because you don't realize what it is. You say, I drank a lot of water. Maybe that's why I'm going up several times in the bathroom. Many people have type 2 diabetes, and they have no symptoms at all. And some people do not find out they have it until they have those problems, blurred vision, or they might have had trouble. Any of those things can happen before a person, and then a person will suspect, what is going on with me? Then it's already diabetes. And sometimes you see people who do not have insurance, so they wait until it becomes an emergency room situation. And then emergency room is not the best place to get help. I think what I call it is easy come, easy go. They just pacify, put a Band-Aid over a wound and tell you to go home. Urgent care is even better. Yes, ma'am.
In children, is there a specific age group, or it can be any age that they develop diabetes?
It can be any age, because the thing is that when the symptom is happening in the child, and guess who? The child does not know. It is the parent who will notice. Mm-hmm. And from the time you notice, you will think that this, it may look like that's when it started. It could be that that person does not have insulin at all. The body is not able to produce insulin at all. So when they start having symptoms and the parent takes them to the hospital, that's when it's found out. So, so I don't know if the practitioners in this room, do you have any? Can you help us? Thank you.
So a child can have type 1 diabetes from age as young as 5 years old. And it usually starts with frequent urination, frequent thirst, and weight loss. Sometimes it starts when they're bedwet, because they're urinating. The sugar concentration is so high that the body lets go of fluid, and sometimes it happens at night, and you think the child is just bedwetting, and parents usually try to intervene, like the child drank too much water close to bedtime. But then when they start with the weight loss or feeling sluggish because of high sugar, then the parents will start seeking medical care. But then, type 1 diabetes is usually an autoimmune disease. Yes. We don't know why the islet cells on our pancreas that secrete insulin that helps us break down carbohydrate, they just don't work. And we don't know, just like any autoimmune disease, we don't know why. And that's probably why we have not really found any cure for type 1 diabetes. Fortunately, over the past few years, they've tried transplanting islet cells on the pancreas, but the pancreas is such a finicky organ. It's like cottage cheese. There is no form to it. You touch it this way, it goes in, so you can't sew anything onto it. Mm-hmm. So that's why type 1 diabetes is such a difficult disease to treat. Yes. But then, like the presenter just said, when the child starts having these symptoms, they are too young to tell. Yes. All they know is they are thirsty, they want to drink water. By the time the parents pick up on it, you guess back, but you can't really pinpoint it. So it can start as young as 5 years. I think the most current literature has 3 years.
Did you say that bedwetting is one of the symptoms that can possibly be indicative of type 2 diabetes? So, I don't know if I heard you correctly.
So type 1 diabetes is used to be called juvenile diabetes. They have no insulin. Their islet cells don't produce insulin. But type 2 diabetes, their insulin production is just not enough. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I say that type 1 diabetes used to be called juvenile diabetes, but not really the current term, is children who didn't used to develop type 2 diabetes are now developing type 2 diabetes that, based on their age, it may seem like type 1 diabetes, but it's not. It's just that the food intake, the dietary intake is calorie dense but nutrient poor, such that the insulin that their islet cells should be producing at that young age become overwhelmed because they have such high intake of carbohydrate. So at their age, at a young age, when they develop type 2 diabetes, if you go by their age alone, it may seem like type 1 diabetes, but it's not. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay, so I'm glad we have a provider in the house, because I am not a provider. So, okay. Does anybody else have any question before we go? Okay, can you, yeah, please.
Would you recommend regular blood testing in children? Because I know that it's more so recommended for adults. So because diabetes, can affect children, would you recommend regular blood testing for them?
Practitioner.
The straight answer is no. Now, the USPTF task force, whatever they recommend is based on years of research and average. So what will be the gain in suggesting a blood test for children when they don't show symptoms? The yield is low. Mm-hmm. So when the U.S. Public Task Force, I've forgotten the acronym, when they come up with these suggestions for screening, they go by a high yield. But then, and that's another reason why juvenile diabetes may not be picked up on when it develops, because the child, it's almost like if you ask an 11-year-old girl that started to have breasts to go for mammogram. The yield is low, but or even men that have breast cancer, the yield is low, but men have breast cancer, and so typically for men, the picking up on breast cancer is not often, but it's there. So when the task force that recommend what we should do, make their recommendations, is based on the high number and also high yield for whatever test that is recommended.
Okay. Thank you. Let's move forward. Thank you. Now, I also have to mention that the incidence of type 2 diabetes is very common with African Americans, Alaskan Native, American Indians, Asian American, Hispanic or Latinos, Native Hawaiian, and or Pacific Islander of American ethnicity. So these are common with us here. So type 2 diabetes. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind. So if anybody is having any symptoms you don't understand, the best thing is always to go and check it out. Okay. So diabetes, like I said before, there are risk factors associated with diabetes. If you are overweight or obese, that's a risk. If you are 15 years or older, children and teens can also develop type 2 diabetes, just like you heard. But the risk increases as a person ages, gets older. African Americans, like I said before, that's the list of people who are more who are more at risk, and especially if they have a family history of diabetes. If you are not physically active, because of physical limitations, a sedentary lifestyle, or a job that requires sitting for long periods, and when you go home, you are too tired, you eat, you go to bed, you go to sleep. And I think they call it couch potato. You're not moving, you're sedentary. If you have already been told that you have pre-diabetes, if you have a history of gestational diabetes, that is the type of diabetes I said before that can occur in pregnancy. So those are the risks. And if you go to those websites that I told you before, you will be able to do a diabetes risk test. And that you can put your name, you can put your age, you find everything, and it gives you an answer right away. And that is in, I think it's in the National Institute of Health, the National Institute of Diabetes, digestive problems, kidney, and they are all under NIH. And also in CDC. If you actually type the word, it will take you to the link. Unfortunately, I can't access the link here. But this is, something is missing. I missed something. Okay. What is missing, I think I talked about, is just is just to show you an example of the test that you can do to see if you are at risk. So if someone can just hand this out, please, thank you. See if whoever wants, just give them one. That's the test, what it looks like. It's better on the website because you can put in your numbers and calculate right there, and it gives you the guideline to follow so that you can talk to your doctor about it. Okay, so somebody mentioned tests earlier. These are the tests that can be done to diagnose a person that is presenting symptoms of diabetes. And all of them, I cannot go through all of them one by one. And actually, if anyone is interested in the slides, you can have them through the AV team, or I can email them to you. If I know your information, if you give me your access, I can email them to you. When you go on your own computer, you can click on those links and complete those things without having to search yourself. If that works better for you, let me know. So those are the tests that can be done for diagnosis. Some of them can be done several times, and sometimes you have a combination of those tests, not just one test. You can have a combination of those tests. So, because you know that before a provider treats you, they have to make sure that that's what you have. Sometimes it takes more than one test. Okay, thank you. Let me see. I think there's another one here. Hold on. This is another one. Thank you. Give everybody as well. Okay, yes, ma'am.
On TV commercials, you're always hearing about A1C. Mm-hmm. What is A1C?
Okay. All right. A1C is a test that is done to calculate the amount of sugar in your system within the past 3 months. Okay? gives them a percentage, and that will help them to diagnose to see if you meet the criteria to be pre-diabetic or have diabetes, because they have a percentage that they are looking for. So sometimes you hear, oh, my A1C is 11%. That's too high. You already have diabetes. Sometimes they say, oh, it's only 4.9 or 5 points. They have a guideline. The providers have a guideline where they can tell you, oh, you're coming close to A1C of 6.5 or 7. If you get to that point, you have diabetes. But if you are lower than that, you are pre-diabetic. It's a kind of test that shows them where you are in your, in your, how your body is managing the, is using the sugar that is in your system. Oh, all right. So the full meaning, those are acronyms. They are, it is known as hemoglobin A1C, glycated hemoglobin, or glycosylated hemoglobin test. So that's all I can tell you. So unless anyone has any other name for it. But that's why the easier way to say it to anyone is your hemoglobin A1C or your A1C. And once you say A1C, it only pertains to your sugar, that calculated within the last 3 months to show where you are and how well your body is utilizing it. And then they can start exploring what actually is the cause of it. Is this you're not getting enough insulin, or it's not good quality, or anything else? And then it can be a guide to tell you to start, being more serious with your lifestyle changes. Yeah, good question. All right, so now we are on the whys and the hows of diabetes. Like I started with the why. Because that sometimes some people say, well, diabetes is chronic, it's incurable. Why do I have to worry? Let me just eat what I want. I'm going to die anyway. We heard it before in the last presentation. No, because God does not want us to stay in sin and die in sin. God wants us to do what we need to do. If you know that you have illness, do you want to just lay down and have the illness kill you? You have to go and find out a way that you can make your life more comfortable, if possible. And you see that quotation I have there, I got it from Jeremiah. I think I liked it, because it makes me know that something can be reversed. You can reverse what has gone wrong. And then God will help you to get there. You may not have absolute cure, but you'll be able to get it to the level where you can live with it. Okay, so why do we manage diabetes? I have a YouTube link that I cannot play. Brother Errol, is there any way we can play that? Can you touch it for us to watch it, please? Oh, I'm sorry. I keep calling you, I don't know. Can you please help us with that? Because sometimes it's good to hear it from, from the video. Is the previous slide. The previous slide. Okay. I think it's slide number 11. Okay, while he's working on it, that video actually tells you, it will tell us what they are doing, why we need to do this, why we need to manage diabetes. First of all, diabetes, like we said before, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. There you go.
Diabetes management, it takes a team. Diabetes is a disease that occurs when your blood glucose, also called blood sugar, is too high. It affects about 37 million American adults and children. That's 11% of the U.S. population. Diabetes can damage the eyes, kidneys, nerves, and heart, and is linked to some types of cancer. But there's also good news. Research shows that managing your diabetes as early as possible after being diagnosed can help prevent many of these health problems. So how can you better manage your diabetes and improve your health? Well, it takes a team. Ask your primary care doctor if you should talk with other healthcare professionals about your concerns. Your diabetes care team can include a nutritionist, diabetes educator, pharmacist, or a variety of other healthcare professionals. Your team can help develop a diabetes self-care plan and offer you the personal care you need. A diabetes self-care plan can help you take your medications on time, develop healthy coping skills, monitor blood sugar levels, create a healthy meal plan, stay physically active, and avoid diabetes health problems. It takes a team to manage diabetes, but remember, you are the most important participant in your diabetes care. Concerned about paying for care? You may be able to get help through private or government health insurance, diabetes education and support programs, or other programs that help people afford transportation, housing, and medicine. Managing diabetes is not easy, but working with your diabetes care team can help improve your overall health and reduce your chances for other serious health problems, such as high blood pressure or kidney disease. Visit niddk.nih.gov to learn more.
Thank you. So that explains why we have to manage diabetes. It's one problem to have such a disease. It's another problem to develop more out of it. So in order to keep us from getting the complications, losing our legs, losing our eyes, and all those things, the best thing is to manage diabetes on time. And you cannot do it alone, but you cannot just depend on your provider team. Because you do it. Remember, the doctor does not own your body. They don't own your body. You know your symptoms. You know how your body feels. You are the one that will doing that part while you're giving them the report of what is going on with you. And when they tell you what to do, you go ahead and follow it. I have seen so many people tell me, oh, the doctor, why is he telling me this? Because it's not his body. Then why did you go to him? Yeah, it's not his body, but he has learned that when you have a body like this, and if you give me the information that you are experiencing in your body, I will be able to help you figure out what it is and make sure that it wouldn't get worse. So that's what that is, that is all about. It's a teamwork. You do your part, you keep your records, whatever they tell you to keep as your records, make sure you keep them. Because if you wake up 5 days later, you might forget what you experienced 2 days ago, or 5 days ago. So you are a big part to it. So before we get to our next few questions, let's go to one more slide. I know this is very busy, but I just wanted to put them there because I know that if you request the slide, you will get it, you will get more there. There's way too much information on diabetes. So like we said before, you see all the statistics are there. And what is frightening is that when you see the number of people that have it and the number of people that probably don't know they have it, and you see how deadly it is, and you see how much money it costs, it's very frightening. It's actually, they say that in the whole world, 422 million people have diabetes, 422 million. And the majority are living in a low and middle income countries. And 1.5 million deaths every year are attributed to diabetes alone. 1.5 million deaths. Now we're talking about COVID, but there's another silent killer right behind us. The global economic burden of diabetes is projected to increase from $1.3 trillion in 2015 to $2.5 trillion in 2030. But in 2021 alone, the global cost for diabetes was $966 billion with a B dollars. And that was an increase of 316% from the previous 15 years. So it's increasing. You hear sometimes, oh, diabetes has become an epidemic. That's why. So if you have something that increased by 316%, that's scary. And we are living with it. walking around with a time bomb. 966 billion with a B, people, the whole world. I mean, $966 billion spent in the world, which has increased. So if you know, if you go and you see, when you think about the countries, it says the majority of those people living in low and middle income countries, you know where those countries are. The 422 million in the whole world that are suffering from diabetes are more in those areas. And those are the areas you and I can help right now. And those of us who are in this country where we can get the help are not actually using the help, because sometimes we have a fear of what would they tell me. I have had people say, I don't want to go to the doctor. They never have good news. So which one is bad news? Is it that you are dying tomorrow? Is that the better news? If you know that you have something that you can help yourself to get over, wouldn't it be better for you to do that than to wait for the worst news when we all have to come here and come and pass around and look at the coffin, and then there is a family behind that you have left with nothing? So I think that fear is the one thing we have to overcome. Fear. The doctors don't bite. But if you keep your records like I suggested, when you go to the doctor, that fear that comes will be less. And I say doctor because we are used to doctor, but these days we have providers, we have nurse practitioners who consult with patients. You can easily talk to them. Actually, I have worked with all of them over the past 45 years. The nurse practitioners sometimes, the ones that are really, really very experienced, they understand your situation more because they have been with you at the bedside. Okay, I have nothing against doctors, but they have been with you at the bedside. They know how you sleep. You don't have to tell them sometimes. They know what happens when you have sleep apnea. But when you have to go and tell the doctor, I'm experiencing this, you have to take more time to explain it, because if you are saying it the way they don't understand it, you might have to go ahead and explain it more. If you miss the key words, you probably won't convince them of what it is. Am I wrong or right? There you go. So please, make use of your providers. Sometimes you don't have to wait for insurance. I know that some insurance are very expensive, but there is Medicaid, there is Medicare, there is something for somebody. And if everything else fails, you go to the emergency room, get some help when you need it. But just don't sit there and say, I'm afraid of the doctor. They don't bite. If you keep your records, you just go there and share your records with them, and then they ask questions, and the fear is gone.
Sister Celia, I have a question.
Sure.
If we could go back a little bit, once you've been diagnosed with diabetes, are you still at a phase where you can self-cure, self-manage, or do you need medicine? And if you do need medicine, is that then a lifetime, do you then become dependent on medicine?
I believe that from literature, from research, I'm coming from research now, I'm not a provider. If your diabetes is caused because of the way that you are managing your life, it's not good. You have a risk, you are not managing your weight, you are sedentary, you are not eating right, and you stay that way, you probably will have to depend on medicines. And also when the damage has been done, some of this damage will require you to keep taking medicine. But when you reverse those things, make them a little better. If you have diabetes and you are 250 pounds and you try your best and lose 15 to 20 or 35 pounds, the amount of medication you will need might be less. And then if you keep doing that and reach your ideal weight, some people have gotten off of medications. Provider, am I right? Okay, so that's what I know. And also, those are the questions you can also ask your practitioner. The problem that we have, like I said, is that some of us are still in the mentality of the good old days where the doctor knew everything. So once the doctor tells you what to do, you go and do it judiciously at home. But the ones that affect us, we don't do. I am one of those. Because if I maintain my ideal weight, before I got to this weight, I didn't have any issues like that. But when I realized that my body has started changing, I had to go back into cutting off some of the things I used to do and increasing the exercise I used to do. and also reduce the stress. It's not always that you eat and you don't exercise. Sometimes stress also affects your life. So when you find a way, a balance, actually a balance. I'm not vegan yet, but I hope to go there before Jesus comes. So that might help me a little bit more. Good question, Sister Paula. Does anybody have any contribution to that? Any contribution? Where are my providers? Where are my practitioners? Okay, so let's take a question from Sister Hughes. Sure.
All what I have seen presented here, I have not seen consumption of sugar and also consumption of fat as a main cause of causing diabetes. Because I would hear that you shouldn't, some people stay away from sugar, period, to avoid diabetes. And then we will hear, oh, low carbs, to avoid diabetes. So what do you have to share with us?
Okay, thank you. Sugar is the end product of carbohydrates. And like you know, you and I know, temperance, whatever you eat, whether it is vegetable, fruit, sugar, fat, you eat moderately. The reason why we are dwelling more on the carbohydrates now is because we are talking about what insulin does. But there are other mechanisms, because if we get into those now, we probably won't finish today, where the carbohydrate that you eat, the body manufactures the sugar, the excess is stored as fat, waiting for the time it will be used. But because we get hungry and eat more, that fat stays there, it is never used for energy, so it keeps accumulating. That is the connection with that. But it's a longer process that involves a lot of calculations and other terms that we, but that is just the layman's way of putting it. Eating sugar, something with sugar alone will not cause diabetes unless you overdo it, and if you have other conditions, like the insulin, you don't have enough insulin, your pancreas are not working, or you're already pre-diabetic and you're putting more sugar. So you are overwhelming the insulin. But if it is because we eat balanced diet, balance in the sense that you eat certain amount of fat, certain amount of carbohydrate. When you do more than that, it becomes an issue. Yes. All right. Okay, so I have 3 questions, and then we go to the last 3 slides of this, and then we'll be finished. So if you want a prize, you can answer any of the questions. All right, the first one is, what are the 3 main things that can help you reduce your chances of developing diabetes type 2? I said that before. There are 3 main things. Yes, Sister Paula, give her the microphone. There, please.
Change the diet, exercise,
yes,
and watch the sugar content.
Okay. That's a good thing. Yeah, you control your weight by doing exercise, control your weight by not eating too much, and then you eat the right kind of food. Okay, you deserve a present. All right, so thank you very much. Would you like to have this? Now you have an option. Do you want to know how to talk to your doctor? Okay. Do you want, what is on your plate? Okay. All right. So, okay. Thank you. Next one. Name 3 complications of diabetes. Any 3. There are many. There are more than 3. Yes. Yes.
Oh. Heart disease. All 3. Cancer. Heart disease, cancer. Weight gain, or even problems with your eyesight.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, loss of vision. The main one is kidney problems, kidney disease. But you got, she deserves a present. Okay, which one? Talking to your doctor? Okay, come and get her whatever she wants. I have more, I can share them. I have much more. I didn't bring all of them, but I have enough. All right, so now let's, that's a very good Oh, okay. Yeah, you got it. All right, so let's move forward. I want to finish the next 3 slides and then we round up, okay? Thank you. I'm glad that people are participating. That makes me happy because I know everybody's tired. All right, so remember that when you are to manage your diabetes, okay, to manage diabetes, you must have to take your medicines if you are already on medicines. You have to work with your healthcare team because that's another way of making sure that you're being monitored. You also have to follow your diabetes meal plan because usually they put you on a meal plan. They tell you how much to eat. If you see that book that says what's on your plate, it will tell you. And if you go to FDA, CDC website, you'll see more. Then you can also, if you are doing your glucose monitoring, make sure you do your glucose monitoring and record it. Because if you record it, it's easier for you to see the difference and be able to figure out what you ate the night before that made it higher than this morning, something like that. Include physical activity in your daily routine and stay on top of your immunizations. Don't say, oh, I'm well, I don't need to, that flu shot, it will make me sick. If you have to take immunization, take it, because when you have diabetes, when diabetes really affects your life, you can get infection anytime, and a small infection will become a big deal. So you must make sure you follow up with your immunizations. Whatever immunization is recommended, please make sure you follow. Okay, we already went ahead and discussed. This is one of the forms I gave you before, and it's also on the website if you need the slides. That's the other part. I gave you 2. Now, these are the complications of diabetes. My sister already gave us a few. The worst one, the one that is actually costing so much money in this country, is the kidney failure, kidney disease. There are foot problems. I know, have you ever seen anybody who became amputated because their foot died? Their nerves are gone. So the foot dies, and sometimes you see the foot, it's like dry decay. So they have to chop it off. That's one of those things. And it affects sexual life, too, for those who are married. And it causes bladder problems because you constantly go into the bathroom. There is frequent bladder infection. You got no sleep, and sleep apnea is also another issue. So heart disease and stroke, they are all there. So you see, this is why diabetes is a silent killer, and diabetes is nobody's friend. So we go by what we know, and we learn every day. We research every day just to make sure we have enough knowledge to live our daily lives. Even if we already have it, it will help us to know how to continue making improvements. So look at the other 4. There are 4 diabetes-related issues. So is anybody surprised to see depression there? Okay. So why do you think depression is a main thing there? My world has fallen apart. I'm miserable. I'm angry. I'm mad. I am so sad. I can't, yes.
Not only that, ma'am, depression comes in when you're not able to provide for yourself. Your income is so low that it can't help you.
Yes.
Despite the fact that they have so many help institute that can help you along with your medication, with your doctor's bill, whatever it is. But you're still depressed.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. That plays a big part too. Yeah, I agree with you. But also there are, if everybody has the access to the website, there are programs. Actually, the person who we invited to produce this is from such a program, but unfortunately they just changed the policy, so she couldn't make it. She would have, showed you how to enroll in those programs. And most of the time they go to the inner city where they have a huge number of people with this kind of diabetes and kidney failure, certain zip codes. They do it as a CDC grant-funded program in collaboration with University of Maryland and sometimes with Johns Hopkins. So they select certain zip codes where they have a lot of people and do their studies. And when they do their study there, they will give them the medication, they will manage them, they will put them in exercise program. The person that if they did not change that policy last month, she would have started a program here. That was the plan. She would have started a 13-week program where anybody that wanted to enroll will be able to enroll. They do weight loss program, diet, teaching you how to manage your diet, and it's Adventist person. So, but it's not bad. We will keep looking. But I'm glad that Pastor Jenkins came and started that so that we can be aware of what we are looking forward to next time. Yes, so.
Mobility. They are not able to get from point A to point B because of the bus system, maybe where they're living. There's no buses there. They don't have a car, and they can't depend on anyone, to help them out by transporting them from X, Y, and Z place.
That is true. And also, there are things in place. Sometimes the most difficult problem we have is not that we can't get to those. We can't get help. It's because we don't know what help is available. So I'm going to come there. It's not, some people don't know that there is something like this kind of help that you can go. They can pick you up if you have the local ride, whatever they call that, county ride, or the other one that can pick you. Yeah, you can put people in those programs. Even if you have a person visiting you 2 or 3 times a week, that can help. That person can help you with things. And then they can get a bus pass at reduced rates. And they can get a van to come and pick them up at home. But if they don't know that those exist, they will never go register for it. So, depression, cancer, dementia, and sleep apnea are all connected. So that's the diabetes programs I was talking about. So there is a collaboration. They are all going on. They have them in the federal level, county level, city level, state level. But if you don't know, then you will not register. Sometimes all you need is your phone or your computer, and you'll be able to get some kind of help. Or you can even join a study. And that study, sometimes they give you a little money for that study. But some people are afraid because of the stories they have heard, how they did this person, how they did that person. And that is why education is important. So remember that many people died because they were for COVID because they don't believe in the vaccine. But how many people have died from the vaccine that you see? So these are the things that people start and they sweep people away from the truth. And we should be careful with all of that. So I thought that we would be able to, if you are, if you think that you need the slide, those are links you can click on and it will take you directly to all this information. Okay, so I believe that we have achieved something today, and I thank you for listening, but I have 2 more questions. Actually, 3. Oh, wow. Okay, I just talked about the 4 diabetes-related issues that we have been talking about. What are they? You talked about it? Just mention any. Anyone? Yeah.
Depression.
Yes, depression, cancer, dementia. All right. Okay, I have literature here. Anybody can come and take it when I'm done. Then the second one is, how many people worldwide have diabetes? How many millions? 422. Okay, you can have one if you want. 422. She was listening. All right, so what is the global expenditure on diabetes in 2021? In billions? How many billions? Huh? 966 billion dollars. Okay, that's give her one book. I don't know. You can take one. I don't know. Okay. So finally, brothers and sisters, what 2 government websites should you visit to find extensive and reliable information on diabetes? I mentioned them. Yes, ma'am? Okay, give her. I didn't hear what CDC
and
National Institute of Health. Thank you very much. So everybody was listening. Give yourselves a clap. You did very well. Thank you. Thank you for being patient, because it has been a long day, and I hope you have learned something. And I have to tell you finally, as a member of the health ministry team, I always order literature. If you need any literature and you don't find it in the rack right there, let me know when I come to church. Write a piece of paper, give me or give to my sister. I will be able to look for it. I also order in Spanish. Anything that is in Spanish, I can get it together, and it's free. Because if we have not attained that vegan status yet, and we are having issues, we have to handle those issues while we are heading towards the vegan. That is my prayer, and I pray that it will be well with you, and it will be well with everybody until we come back next time. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Celia, and thank you, everyone, for participating. Don't run off just yet. As Sister Celia, Dr. Celia, we'll say that for now. Dr. Celia has mentioned, if you are interested in her slides, let me know. I'm collecting email addresses, and then I'll forward them to you. Jackie, who was here earlier, right, has left me with some parting words. She wants me to give you her thanks from the health ministry. You may have a seat, that's fine. But she also just wants to point out a few things to wrap up. We know our church is, we have a health ministry to promote. We want our members to live long because God has, that's his plan for us, is for us. The health ministry is not just an SDA thing, it's a biblical thing. It's God's plan for us. We've been marvelously made, and a part of us to live long and a healthy life is to follow his principles of health. And that means it starts with how we take care of our body. It is the temple of Christ, and we do this because it's a sacred thing that we have. So some things you can decide whether or not you want it, but this is World News Report on health. Don't retire is number one as for ways to live long and healthy life. And I think the principle there is then if you retire without a plan, being sedentary is not healthy. Floss every day. Dental health is really a big issue, and for you guys who are nurses and practitioners here, knows that gum health, dental health, similar to diabetes, it has lingering effect. It trickles down to other body parts. So floss every day. Exercise, we know that. It boosts a lot of, let me not even go to the medical field. I am not in the medical field, so let me not even try. But we know that there are health benefits for exercise, and one, I mean, you're outside, the serotonin, and all the other lovely stuff. That's just being outside in God's natural air, being one with nature, especially if you're exercising outside. It gets those endorphins running. Eat fiber-rich cereal for breakfast, or just eat fiber-rich anything. All that thing that Dr. Jenkins talked about to move it out of your colon and out. If we don't eat fiber, it helps push those things that we perhaps shouldn't eat, or just helps move the system along. Get at least 6 hours of sleep, and it says at least. We know when we don't sleep, part of diabetes, it says sleep apnea, being cranky, not being able to sleep well. Sleep at least 6 hours. Different age group requires different amounts. Eat whole foods, not supplements, so try to get your meals from an actual food item, plant-based preferably, but as opposed to supplements. We do see that there's some supplements like B12 that isn't derived from a plant or from food, so you do have to take that kind of supplement, but whenever possible, get your nutrients from food. Worry less. We all understand the benefits of a stress-free life. Worry less, because we have somebody who says, place your burdens on me, cast your cares onto me. And if we just follow the principles God has for us, worry less, because we can't do anything about whatever it is that we're worrying about. Live like the Loma Linda Adventist folks. Plant-based, exercise, pray daily. Follow a routine. A lot of us, as much as we think we can do it, we can do it. Routine helps. It gives you a purpose. It gets you active, and you know what it is that you're planning. You don't have to decide each day, what do I do now? Create a routine and stick with it. And then another thing to just boost those endorphins is to hang out with friends, family, church members, co-workers, but someone. Man was not meant to be alone. And that the benefit of just being around others is instrumental. You laugh, you're happy, you may not realize it, but your mood changes just by being around others. That's why we like to fellowship with the saints as opposed to for those of you who are online. I know some people can't make it, but we do want to come in and fellowship with each other because there's instrumental benefits for it. I thank you. I know it's after hours. I need 2 singers or a couple of singers because after all, it is the Sabbath. We're almost at sunset and would like to break out the end of Sabbath day with a quick vesper. I know, it just came to me. Well, at least sing a song. You guys know me. Sister Paula loves to sing. Sister Paula cannot sing. Sister Chioma